Okay, call the meeting to order of the East Lyme Board of Finance for Wednesday, July 8th. Those of you who are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item of business tonight is delegations. Any members of the public wish to speak? Just need you to come up and state your name and if you're and your function or address.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Anna Perch, and I am the director of the Brookside Farm Museum. And I'm here because I was surprised at about 10 o'clock on Sunday night as I was getting ready to go to bed and checking my emails for what I had to do the next day to find out that my salary had been cut by 50%. So I just wanted to come and speak to that. I've been doing a lot of research and put a lot of thought into it. And one of the things that occurred to me was that I'm not sure if the Board of Finance or even the town itself really has much of an idea of what we're actually doing over at Brookside right now. But we have sort of transformed ourselves from a small historic house museum that virtually nobody ever visited to now I wouldn't even call us a museum anymore as much as we are we're aiming to be a cultural institution that really celebrates the history of our town and the history of the region, but also the environment. We're completely have turned the 40-acre site into a model for environmental restoration and biodiversity restoration. And we have events all the time. We have turned the barn into a site for rentals and for just community events. We're having one on Sunday at 4 o'clock if you guys would like to come, a great musical duo who are coming to play. So we're working to really, pull the site together. It's very hard at the moment. I mean, it's been slow going since I've been there because when I started at Brookside, there was absolutely no professional guidance. There were very well-intentioned, lovely volunteers who had no idea how to actually grow the organization, or even that they didn't know that. Unfortunately, despite what you may believe, the vast majority of people in America do not want to go visit a historic house museum. So I have a history in this, and I have some expertise in the area. So since I've been doing that, we've been really trying to shift it into an organization that it will be not only useful, but make that site a center for the northern part of East Lyme. We're already, because we're so uniquely positioned next to the community center, I already partner greatly all the time with the library where they use our space all the time. And now with all of the projects that we're doing, we're trying to make the campus more of a campus for the community center. And as you know, the library proposals for more funding to increase their usable space it has not been successful. So we have been working behind the scenes to help them accomplish their goals and get more visitors and have a place for people when they leave the library to go and learn about the environment, and also use the walking trail and stuff like that. So I think people may not know, and I would love to at some point tell you guys more and continue to update the town about it. But one other thing is that people may not know that I'm running and administering 3 grants. One is for the final year of our Homegrown National Park grant that we got from the Community Foundation of Eastern Connecticut. The second is a federal grant through the Estuaries Fund for restoring the back forest, providing education, and improving the wetlands. And that one has a great promise. We applied for too little. We should have applied for more because I think we would have gotten it. It's a very competitive grant, but it's very well poised to be up in the closer to the $1 million range in our following year if we do a good job this year. And then the third is finally, after 3 years of suffering through trying to figure out how to get the house painted and some serious deferred maintenance on the house rectified, we should be any day now starting to do that project, and I need to be administering that project. So in and of itself, with those 3 grants, if that's all I did, that's more than 10 hours a week. So I'm going to maybe, I have figured out how to, and I would have done this very easily right away if I had known that this cut was happening, shown you ways that we can reallocate most of Brookside's funding to make up for the reduction in salary without having to take money from anywhere else. So I will be showing that to Dan and to Kevin. Kevin's just seen it just now. But there are ways to reallocate, which I think are more important, because I don't have much help up there. And so if none of that other stuff is going to get done, none of that other budget is even going to be used, because there's nobody to actually to administer it. But like I said, I do have a way to save, to bring back $14,600 at least. So just keep an eye on that in the coming weeks. Like I said, I can't accomplish anything with 10 hours a week. But also please do come and visit and find out a little bit more about exactly what we're doing, because it's really cool, and I think you guys will be really excited to have this new active cultural and community space in the northern end of town. So that's all I really wanted to say today. I'll be back in touch.
Thanks for your comments.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public wish to speak? Okay, let's move on to approval of the minutes. First minutes are from the May 28th special meeting that we held. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Great. Discussion, please. All those in favor of approving the special meeting minutes from May 28th, 2026, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. The May 28th, 2026 public hearing meeting minutes. I need a motion to approve those, please.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Great. Moved and seconded to approve May 28th, 2026 public hearing. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Finally, the June 11th, 2026 special meeting minutes. That was a short meeting. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving June 11th, 2026 special meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Reports. First up tonight, thank you guys for being here. Board of Education. Who's coming first?
Is anybody on Zoom? You want me to connect my computer?
Can you tell if anybody's watching us? No. Okay.
You want it projected, or I don't know if you would. Can you see your report? Okay. How are we doing? All right.
So this is Jeff and Eric. Thanks for being here. I know this is part of an ongoing discussion that we agreed to have a couple of months ago, and I think certainly in light of how the town referendum went on the 2 votes that we had, it's really important that we have this dialogue on an ongoing basis, so thank you for accommodating us.
No, thanks for having us. So Jeff and I are going to tag team, and we have Mariana in the background who will answer any detailed questions, and she's phenomenal at getting our finances together. So we thought we'd bring you through some slides, kind of give you some overview of where we are on some things, but then open it up to questions and see what direction you want to head. So one of the questions we did get is, okay, after the reductions, after subsequent reductions from over the couple referendums, what changes did we make in order to hit our budget? So what are the things? So what you can see on the first slide is we did have, these are the staff reductions or the roles that we have eliminated. So it's 17.9. Some it's, if we go from a 12-month to 10-month, it's a fraction. So, but when you add it all up, it's 17.9 staff reductions that we did go through and made those decisions, and you can see what those were across. And then in addition to those 17.9, there were other kind of business decisions that we need to make to hit our numbers. and you can go through the list on page 3. All impactful, probably some at different levels. One thing we did, I do want to highlight a couple things. The 2 building subs, so that ensures that we have staff. Sometimes it's hard to get subs, so that ensures that we have subs every day to cover. And when we don't, that means other staff is covering, and it gets a little dicey. We still have some building subs, but we thought that's an area that we could take a risk on. But we do need to ensure that we do get the subs in when staff is not able to make it to school. The other ones that I'll highlight, we did reduce by a bus. There's definitely a lot of consternation on that, especially for those who have been on the Board of Ed for a number of years. So about 5 years ago, we cut 2 buses for about 3 months, and it was a disaster. We had lots of issues, and because we tried to get routes, and the routes were getting really long, and we had some issues, so we ended up putting those 2 back in. But it's been a number of years since we've tried this. We get a lot of feedback on our transportation that the buses are empty, and we should look at it. So we're going to take a chance, and we're going to reduce by a bus, and we're also eliminating the middle school, high school late bus run, which is not ideal, but these are the things you have to do to hit your budget. So I wanted to kind of highlight a few of those items, and there's others, but wanted to highlight those.
Can we ask any questions?
Yes. Oh, so I meant to say at the beginning. So how about clarification questions, and then we'll get through and then go in detail on things? Does that work? Just so we can get through these.
Sure.
Okay.
Any clarification questions?
Okay.
All clear.
Just one question. LBH, what does that acronym stand for?
Lily B. Haynes.
Pardon me?
Lily B. Haynes.
Lily B. Haynes.
School.
And FL is Flanders?
Flanders. Yep.
Okay. And NCS?
Is Niantic Center.
Okay.
So if we move on to slide 4, one of the things we wanted to show an overlay is how over the past few years, how our certified staff compares to what's happening in our enrollment. So you can see that our enrollment relatively flat, slightly declined, and we've also have a decline in our staffing. So that's kind of, they don't always move in lockstep, but we just wanted to show that we're trying to get them to move at least directionally in the same direction. And then we wanted to show our projected future enrollment, and you can see this is a study that was done, and we're pretty much in line with this study that was done a number of years ago, and as you can see, it's relatively flat over the foreseeable future. We did a couple important things. We are doing a study currently to relook at this, because we're also looking at redistricting. It is something that we need to do, we need to at least explore potentially redistricting, obviously not for this school year, but for a future school year. It's a lot of work, and we get a lot of questions from parents and staff when we do the redistricting, but it is something that what we're seeing, where some of the schools have gotten smaller and some are bursting at the seams. So there's a need for that. So we are looking at that, including this summer, starting to look at what that would be. If we go on, a question we get a lot is about, how many administrators we have in our administrative function. So we wanted to do a benchmarking and look at other districts and compare. And so just to so you understand the slide, the line chart is the enrollment for each of the districts. The gray bar, the left bar, is the kind of district administrator, so that's your superintendent, assistant superintendent, your finance person, those type. And then the maroon is the school level. So those are your principals and assistant principals. And what you can see as we cut across these districts, you'll see is that we're basically in the lowest level, it's kind of us and Rocky Hill, who's 0.5 less, who essentially are pretty low, and you can look at, you can do it as a ratio of the enrollment, but in general, we're pretty low, and you can see like a town like Madison, which has 24.8, their enrollment's essentially the same as ours, and we have 16.5. So you can see we do keep a close eye on our administrative headcount. Then the last slide that I'll touch on, and then I'm going to hand it off to Jeff to go into more detail. And Kim had some questions. It's unfortunate she's not hearing us, so we may need to kind of come back to it. But she was asking, because we've outsourced our substitute service in getting our substitutes to Kelly Services, and the question is, hey, should we insource that? Should we bring that back in-house? Could it be cheaper? And the overarching, for me, there's 3 bullet points and 3 key thoughts. One is Kelly does a much better job at getting subs than we were doing when we were doing it internally. So their fill rate is 92%. We were at 85, 87. So they're more successful at filling the substitutes. 2 is the transfer of risk. So Kelly Services covers a lot of the risk that you can see in the lower right-hand corner, the benefit compliance, unemployment claims, and so on. So they take that on. So that's part of their service that they provide to us. And on top of all that, we're saving $15,000. So better fill rate, transfer of risk at a lower cost. So that's why we've been with Kelly Services and kind of stayed with them. And that's kind of the analysis that we did. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of continue with that plug. Being with Kelly Services has been extremely beneficial. As Eric mentioned, that transfer of risk. I mean, there's been so many changes over the last few years too, with state requirements for having to provide insurance for staff members who work a certain number of hours, sort of thing. So Kelly does all of that. And if we went back to trying to have our own fleet of substitutes, we used to have well over 100 substitutes. Again, Kelly does it all now and has been doing it all now. We would need an HR director. We're a district that doesn't have an HR director. So the volume of trainings, the volume of onboarding, maintaining, tracking, hiring, et cetera, would be that much more. So I want to remember that savings as well, because if we had an HR director, there's another $150,000 of a salary, most likely. So it's a pretty big savings as well. We take care of all those HR components split across our central office. Costs savings, shared savings, cost mitigation efforts has been big. We talked a lot about this. You've heard about Salem. We oversee Salem Schools security with our security director. We oversee Salem's food services with our director. We oversee Salem's facilities with our director. They pay us directly for those services. It's a win-win. It helps us out and it helps Salem out. But what the bigger piece is, it's a shared regional partnership, which we're really trying to continue to expand in doing. And that goes to the next slide in relation to what we've continued to do with the town, sharing of utilities, sharing of financial software with Munis, with other districts. This is work that we're really trying to expand upon more, and we've made some pretty good progress, and we're recognized at the state level for this work. But sharing a nursing supervisor across 2 districts, very important, savings for both districts, and we have coverage that oversees our nurses and oversees Waterford's nurses. And then the course offerings that we're really working to expand. In this past year, we had multiple students coming from Waterford to East Lyme, taking our EMT course. You've heard a lot of this. We send students to Waterford for the automotive course. We're looking to expand that to other course offerings for next year. And those are tuition dollars. Each student, next year we're slated to have 14 students between Waterford and Lyme come to our EMT course. That's $3,000 a student, and that's $42,000. Now, we're going to be sending a couple students to Waterford as well, and maybe 1 or 2 to Lyme, so it offsets through our partnership agreement. But you can see there's dollars associated with that too. And one of our goals at the Board of Ed level is potentially to reach out and bring another district onto that, so expanding regionally. And again, that work is noted by the state and is part of the Career Pathways state organization, which I'm part of. And we just wanted to share, I'm not going to read through these, you can see, a lot of accolades for our district. We're not just about test scores. It's multifaceted in having a holistic approach to supporting students. And this is really just more the last year, the things that we've accomplished, the things we've been part of. East Lyme is out there as a school district and recognized across the state for a lot of excellence and a lot of great things that have been occurring and will continue to occur. And ironically, I was just called this week to be on 2 other panels discussing board and superintendent relations. There's a lot of struggle across the state with keeping superintendents for the average is 4 years, and then something that we move on to other districts. I've been in East Lyme 12 years now. So the state and our CAPS organization wants to know, how have we solidified that relationship and kept that going? And we want to replicate those practices. The state wants to replicate those practices in other districts. So that's coming up, as well as I was asked to speak this summer, but I'm going to be on vacation at our panel discussion on the pathways work that we've done at the state level. So a lot of great things are occurring, a lot of great things. So we're proud of all of our efforts and recognitions. And lastly, one of the reasons we're here, as we Scott said earlier, is to try and continue to build the relation between Board of Ed, Board of Finance, and how we move forward going into next year. Quarterly discussions, share outs. We want to come to our Board of Education meetings, us coming down here. We want to make sure as we roll into the next budget cycle, which is going to come quick, that we're openly communicating as much as possible as it pertains to our work moving forward. So that's it. Just a couple slides that we wanted to share, and we're happy to kind of talk through, answer any questions, and really focus moving forward on that relationship building that we want to do.
Yeah, thank you guys for putting this together, and thank you guys for being here. I absolutely agree that this will definitely pay dividends for the schools and for the town for us to have a close relationship and understanding of what your needs are and what our thoughts are. I have a question about the paraeducator positions.
Yes.
10 paraeducator positions that have been eliminated for the 26-27 year. Can you tell us more about those and what it means, please?
So we had a number of vacancies. Each year we have a handful of vacancies across the district in our paraeducator account. So these are positions, most that we couldn't fill, or we didn't fill this year. So that was impactful. However, we're moving things around this summer, and we've had to eliminate 10 of them as part of the budget, but we think nobody's losing their job, which is a good thing. But we're eliminating those positions, so it reduces the opportunity for the number of paraeducators that are in classrooms across the schools.
Yeah, that's helpful to know. Thank you. I'm glad people are not losing their job.
Yeah.
But that prompts me to ask, I think, a question for all of the other positions that you are describing as eliminated. Are any of those not filled now that no one's losing their job also?
Luckily, none. We had the high school custodian position. Luckily, somebody in that grouping decided to take another job more recently, so that saved it. We just eliminated the position, and because they moved on to another location, they didn't lose their job, they took another job. So that was one where one individual would have lost their job. Security, we had 3 individuals that are not going to be with us next year. We had offered one slot to them in the afternoon, but they declined. None of them wanted to take it. So we felt that we're in a pretty good position where nobody on this list. Others were retirements and decreases in movement around. I guess like the Niantic Center secretary moved to a different position in district. We reduced that to 0.5 and then hired at 0.5. So.
Okay.
I think it's
good to
also,
hear.
if I could just add to that, is if you notice some of them have 1-year positions. That's one of our strategies that we have, is when we're hiring people, we're not sure what's going to happen in next year in the budget. We don't know what's going to happen next year's budget. So we let the people know up front, these are 1-year positions. So we don't have someone who moves from another district who's a 15-year person, they come here, and the budget happens, like, sorry, this is like, no, this is a 1-year position. So if you come here, we don't know that you're going to have a role. So that person may not be interested in that role because they have a career in another district. So we just want to try to be fair to people and transparent that, hey, we're not sure if this position depends on enrollment and other things that we use that. So you'll see on a number of those 1-year positions, technically someone was in that role, but we've eliminated that role. But they knew up front it was a one-year position.
Yeah, the class sizes weren't going to warrant needing to keep it the next year. And we've already done that going into next year. We have a hire this summer that we're offering it as a one-year only position, looking ahead to the following year, realizing that I think we'll be okay with numbers at the elementary level.
I have one last clarifying question. I'll turn it over to the gang here. On slide 4, 25-26 enrollment says 2447. On slide 5, it says 2497, which is the right number.
So the slide, the projected slide, what number is that?
Slide 4, you said, Scott?
Slide 4 says 2447. Slide 5 it says 2497. I assume 1 is a typo.
5 is the projected.
Oh,
Yeah,
projected.
the projected
is
was
that.
the original projection, so when we if you go back a few years, they projected out. So they were pretty close,
yeah.
in terms of what the projection was. So, yeah, so slide 5 was the projection.
So they're both right.
They're both
They're
right.
both right.
One was the original projection, and one is what we were actually at.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, we came darn close.
Yeah.
I think that's going to continue.
No questions for me.
Senator? Barry?
Okay, I have a couple, just one follow-up to what Scott asked on that difference between vacancies versus eliminated.
Yes.
Were all of these listed, are these all vacancies, or how many were actually vacancies and how many were eliminated?
Just the para ones. And then remember, we had the 1 year only, so those were.
So just the para
just
were-
the para positions.
Are eliminated?
Yeah, those were vacancies that we did not fill.
Okay.
Yes.
And the other ones were people were in the positions that you
Positions
eliminated?
Either retired, moved on, and we eliminated through attrition, that sort of thing. But nobody lost their job.
Okay, that was the thing. Nobody
one-
lost their job for this.
No
These
one
were-
lost their job.
People had
Positions-
opportunities for other, if their role was eliminated, if we're not, there were other roles that they could have taken or not, as the case may be.
Yep.
So they had
Yeah,
opportunities.
but there's 17.9 less positions next year at this point than there was. No.
And clarification on that security position,
Yes.
that is a non-armed security person, so you're getting rid of the non-armed people, but you're now hiring armed
It's
security
still-
officers?
There's still a mix, but we are hiring, yeah, we need to hire a few armed, yes. But
Okay.
there's no additional.
They're not- they're-
We've reduced one overall.
They're not incremental. So we don't talk publicly how many security we have and things like that, so I'm just going to use a round number. If we had 10, we now have 9, but the mix of the 9, maybe some armed and some unarmed. Previously, we had 10 who were all unarmed, if that makes sense. So we eliminated one role. Again, these are just fictitious numbers
Got
because
it,
we don't
yeah.
talk about, but just to give you an idea. We didn't have, for argument's sake, 10, and we're hiring 5 armed security, so we're going to be at 15. It's just the mix of the people, of the positions that we had.
Another question, I have just a couple more, okay?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
good. That's what it-
Lauren,
that's what it's about.
or Senator, if you want to jump in, I mean, I don't want to dominate the discussion.
Go right ahead.
I mean, Lauren, you were so instrumental in this in the budget hearings that I don't want to cut you out on this.
No,
Okay.
you're good.
The other thing that I was wondering on you mentioned the staffing discussions, the non-instructional costs that you have, did you cut out any of those other than, I mean, it just lists all staffing reductions, but did you go through and cut out any non-instructional costs?
You're talking about the next slide, slide 3?
Slide 3 has all the
Yeah, those are all the other things.
non-staff. Slide 3 is all the
No, but
non-staff.
there are things that you have that are non-instructional that don't deal with staff,
Yeah.
like professional organizations. Did you cut out any of that?
Over the process of months, Barry, there were some things that were eliminated, yes, before we presented to the Board of Education the budget. I don't have the list in front of me, but yes, there was items. Software, for instance, we reduced a number of software items.
Well, I mean, things like, I don't know your full budget, whatever, but I know that there's a good number of dollars that go to CABE, and you still are in on that, so you're keeping like $20,000 in for CABE as opposed to staffing, say, some paraprofessionals?
Yeah, the board is still affiliated, wants to be affiliated.
Okay,
with
and that's
CABE.
about a $20,000 figure?
Roughly, yes.
Okay. Instead of, so you're keeping that and cutting staff?
and just so we do get some significant benefit by being part of CAVE. There are things that we benefit. So we as a board and as a district, I think, find value in what we get from CAVE.
At one time, you had an arrangement with Mystic Aquarium. Is that still in force?
Yes. We
And that
still-
is about $50,000, $60,000?
well, there's different affiliations. There's Project Oceanology. That's not through the Mystic Aquarium. Mystic Aquarium, we have Pathways connections. But Project Oceanology, yes, we're still affiliated with them. It's roughly $42,000 to $47,000 a year. Yeah. That's been around for, many, many years.
Okay. And so again, you're keeping those in lieu of instructional staff?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, I'll say that we, as a board, we discuss these things and we find value for our students to participate.
On your projected enrollment, it's interesting that they can go out to 2033. That's a real reach. Do you have, you mentioned a report that you did on this. Do you have a link to that study that you could send us?
Once the board sees it, it will become, we'll have some information.
So there was one done years ago.
This is an older one. This was
And
done.
we're having a current one, we're refreshing it currently, like as we speak. And then when that becomes public, you're more than
So
welcome
this
to have it
is-
refreshed.
2032, 23 is the old one?
This
Yeah,
is
this is an
the,
older
we don't have an
document.
updated one,
Yeah.
this is the original projections, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so when do you expect that new study out?
Late this year?
Yeah, I'd say in the fall,
Yeah.
early fall.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to see much variation, Barry, in what you see here. We're supposed to maintain.
Just out of curiosity, is that link to that study on your website?
Not yet, no.
No, the old one.
The old one? You have this slide. This is the only slide we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just interested in the methodology
Yeah,
they
it was-
use.
Yeah.
The methodology they use is what I'm interested in.
Okay.
Yeah.
How you can make a projection out to 2033 and where they're getting that information to go that far out.
So I'll speak to a minute on that is, we had originally, years ago, I'm not going to state what organization it was. There was another organization who did projections. They came to the Board of Ed to talk through their methodology, and within 10 minutes, we could poke a lot of holes through the methodology. So we moved on from them. If I recall, they were free. If I recall, they were free, and you got what you pay for. We then brought in this other group who does a number of other districts in the area, and they came in, and their methodology is very good. Like they look at, they go through, look at housing developments, they look at births from 5 years ago and when they're going to go, and you can project out. Is it perfect? No, they've been pretty good. Now, they're pretty good. It's not moving much. So that makes it a lot easier than if our town was growing at 10 or 20%. Those are a lot harder to project,
Okay.
or declining at 10 or 20%. But when it's staying flat, it's easier to project. And we have been pretty flat over the past few years.
So that old study, that is that citation is on your website,
The
the old study.
The original study that was really bad, I don't know where that is.
Okay.
The study that this group who were having refresh, I don't know if we.
I wonder if
I
we're
mean,
going
it's-
to rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll be
I
brought
mean, it's-
forward
Let's,
Okay.
the next couple months.
Yeah, within
Alright,
the next few
okay.
months, you're
Yeah,
going to have
okay.
a refreshed report.
So
Alright.
come down in the fall,
Alright.
we definitely have
Yeah.
this year.
On slide 6, just a clarification, difference between FTE and head count, you give like 6, what is when you give the head count for the administrators as opposed to FTE?
What are you asking?
So how many,
The difference between FTE and head count?
To get to 16 and a half, how many?
Oh,
so
the only
What
two-
is the
only
head
two
count?
that aren't in that grouping right there, these are all of our, from me down, directors, principals,
Yeah,
assistant
he's saying,
principals.
so like
but
you're a full FTE.
Yeah,
And
there's
Elise
a-
is a full FTE, but there's
there's
some
one-
10-month, if there's a
one
10-month.
10-month high school assistant principal who's 0.5. That's the pathways coordinator.
Okay.
That's the
And
0.5. But what's important in this, if you look in that box too, this doesn't include the director of facilities or director of security. across any district, because this is only data that's reported to the state. So these FTEs are all state, this is all state
Okay,
data.
these are all,
State data.
okay.
But
So
just,
then it can't
actually,
be that-
let me just clarify to make sure I understand. The 10-month principal at the high school, 10-month assistant principal, they're in here as a one.
They're in here as a one.
So it's not a fractional FTE if they're here 10 months versus 12 months. They're
Yeah,
in
they're in
as a
as a
full
one,
one. So the only half is that we have our pathways coordinator is half administrator, half teacher.
Special education.
Half teacher, half pathways.
Let me see. When you, another thing. On slide 10, the success of the schools,
Yeah.
the thing I'm also interested in is impact upon student learning. These are very good process kind of things. These are external things that, people from the outside go in. But the thing that I'm always curious about, and I was curious about in the last budget presentations, is the evidence you have for enhancing student achievement and growth and development. I'm still trying to figure out what information you have to support your advances in student achievement.
But we focus on a holistic approach, Barry. So, data points are one point of a multifaceted look at, at our district and the success, of our district. So in the early fall, Mrs. Fabiana, our assistant superintendent, will share out data, state data, or other district data with the Board of Education. At that point, we do that each year, and we're happy to share some of that information at that point as well, because that's when that state data will come out, and that information will come out.
Because I think that's an important issue.
It's it's one point of a bigger component of looking at a district holistically.
Okay. I think that student learning is a very, very big issue.
And student learning isn't just numbers. Student learning is a holistic approach.
I understand
to
that.
providing education.
And there
That's what
are
we're saying.
indicators of that I'm just interested in seeing what you
There
have
are,
to
yes,
support
there's
that.
many indicators, absolutely, yes.
Okay. So I would encourage you to, the next time you come through, I'm not trying to be difficult here, but I'm
No,
just trying
not
to
at all.
say that,
No.
where the town is making an investment in this, and the return on that in terms of student learning and student achievement is a very, very important issue.
Agreed.
And I think that as part of the public discussion of this, we should be able to see as a town, what are the outcomes in terms of student learning, that.
Yeah, we just want to be clear that we look at it holistically.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And student learning is a holistic issue.
Exactly, yeah. So,
Okay,
Okay, that's it.
thank you. Any other comments, questions from anybody? All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate you being here. And,
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Just it'd be good, talk amongst yourselves later and say, was this what you want to hear? Is this helpful? Are there things you want to hear differently? Barry had a few things that we can, as time progresses and we discuss them as a Board of Ed, we can then bring them to the Board of Finance if there's topics you want to hear more
all
about.
right, and we can come to your meetings also. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
assume we have an opportunity to ask questions during the public section.
100%, and well, as if ex officio, we try to, I guess we got to figure that out, but yes, definitely during the public, and you can listen in and ask questions after or whatever, and then also you can help our board learn more about the challenges of being on the Board of Finance, which is you're trying to balance a number of different items and trying to figure out how this all works together. It's helpful, I think, if our Board of Ed understands some of the processes that you have to go through and some of the decisions that you have, tough decisions that you have to make to get there.
All right, thanks again for being
Great,
here.
thank you.
Next up is Mr. Cunningham. Dan, first Selectmen's report.
Okay. So good afternoon. Just a couple of things. I did pass out a copy of the survey, and I think each of you has a copy. And what that is, there have been a lot of questions about the assessment that's being done of the old police station. So I just wanted to give you an update of where that stands and where we're going with it. So it's a phase 1, phase 2 analysis. And phase 2 is looking at the actual structure and underground to see what toxins and potential problems there are that we were able to find. Phase 1 is more of a data assessment. You go to the town hall, you look at records, it's more studying the paperwork. Phase 2 is actually looking at the building itself and the land that surrounds it. So the contractor has already started their work. They've taken interior samples of the building, and what they're going to be looking for and assessing is the presence of asbestos, lead, mold, and those sorts of things. Those samples get taken, they get sent out to a lab. So right now, they're in the phase where those samples are being analyzed. I asked them to hold off for doing the outside work in the parking lot, drilling holes and getting core samples until after East Lyme Day. We're going to need that parking lot for some of our police vehicles and other things that we need, communication vehicles that day. But as soon after the East Lyme Day, then they're going to actually start the outside assessment. On the East Lyme Day, the contractor is going to have that, the survey that you have a copy of, and that survey is really geared towards really public opinion, how people see the property, what their vision is. And why that's important to the contractor is as they write the report and as they move through the process, they need to know how much where to focus their attention. If there's this great love of the building and you know, people love the architecture and they don't want anything to happen to the building, you know, they're gonna feed that back to myself and others that are making some of the decisions. And we don't want them to spend time and money looking at the structural properties of the building. If it really turns out that, you know, it's loaded with asbestos, loaded with mold, it's really a job for the bulldozer and not for rehabbing the building. So that survey will help in directing what they do on the inside of the building. So they're really trying to do a thorough job, and that's where we stand on it. And I wanted to give you a little update on that as we move forward, because it's a big decision what ultimately happens, whether we take title, we don't take title, we get a grant to remediate it. Those are decisions that are going to be made collectively down the road, but just want to keep you appraised. I do want to inform you that we did appoint, the Board of Selectmen appointed Chief Glenn as our Emergency Management Director, and that was last Wednesday, and then of course Saturday the 4th we had a big storm, and on Monday we had another rain event, so he got to jump right into it. There was no no period of time there between being sworn in and having to react, but everything went very smoothly. We had I met with all of our, you know, fire service, public works, police department, ambulance, and we were mobilized. We had meetings Monday morning, and we were ready if that storm had materialized to something more serious, the rainstorm. And it could have been, because the sun didn't come out, there was less heat and less condensation and less rain. So, but we were fortunate, but we were ready. East Lyme Day, the planning is going along. Again, I had a meeting with all the parties, Public Works, Police, Fire, Ambulance, and they are ready to go. They have action plans. We're trying to consider every potential for that day and be ready for whatever might happen. If someone gets hurt, having routes for the ambulances to get to the hospital. If we need fire services, having plans on how to get equipment to where we need to get it while Main Street is tied up with the vendors. I want to mention one other thing. The other day there was a young, I believe it was a young lady, a 13-year-old, that was drowning off of McCook's, and our 3 lifeguards responded and they did everything right, and they got her to safety. I believe it was a female, that's my understanding, and got her to safety, and she recovered right afterwards. They did call the ambulance. They didn't need to transport. She seemed to be okay and refused transport, I believe. But anyhow, I was really proud of our lifeguards. It's a very important job, and sometimes one that people forget. It's very important what they do. So they had a situation, they reacted, and I'm going to recognize them at our next Board of Selectmen meeting. Yeah, that's all I have for you tonight. Unless there's any questions on any of these topics.
Good to hear about the SAVE lifeguards. Nice, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that.
Yep.
Questions for Dan?
None.
Dan,
Thank
is there counting that ever goes on in terms of participation at East Lyme Day? Do we know how many people typically attend, and is it is it evolving over time, or is it stable, or what?
I mean, they do have a way of, of course now with drones and aerial look down, there's formulas and ways to figure out the crowds. A lot of it depends, I think, sometimes on the weather. I mean, if it's really, really hot, I think not as many people show up. But it's very well attended. We've had great response year after year, just like we do with the
Trying to get a
parade.
sense of whether or not there's information that could be fed to the chief about what needs there are based on attendance. But
yeah, I mean, they track it from year to year, and they have a pretty good sense. It's very well organized. I mean, when I show up at the meeting, it's just really to hear what everybody's been doing and reporting, that they are ready. And so hopefully it'll go smooth like it has other years.
yes, thank you.
Of course.
July 18th.
Yes, 18.
Thanks, Dan. Kevin, you have Finance Director report, please.
Okay, so starting off with the tax collection report. Let's pull it up for a
Are you going to
second.
project? I'm asking.
Say it again?
Are you going to project?
I'm not going to project.
Okay, so we need to look at our papers that you gave to us.
Correct. We were just in a little bit of a time crunch trying to get the audit out. So you do have, I didn't print it, it's about 150 pages, but the board members have electronic copies of our draft financial statements for 2024. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But starting off with the tax collector report, looking year over year. Last year we collected 99.2% of taxes for the year. This year we are up 15 basis points to 99.36. I attribute
Kevin,
that.
which of these is the tax,
The
balance sheet summary by year?
no, it's the one. Is it this very?
It looks like this.
Yep,
Okay,
that's
thank
it.
you.
Yep. Top part is the prior year. Bottom part is the current year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So just looking at the totals, and really we're up 15 basis points year over year. We did the tax collector did institute a tax sale this year. So I believe all properties paid with the exception of one, I believe, was sold. So that really drove in the prior year collection of interest and prior year taxes. So that was a nice $175,000 positive tailwind for us. So we budgeted 99.1%. So coming at 99.3 is good going into next year. Next item,
Okay,
fund
quick
balance.
question, Kevin.
Yep.
What do the initials MPRSX mean?
Motor vehicle, personal property, real estate, supplemental, and then X is if things were added
Extra.
during the year. I don't think it's extra. I think it's if
Other.
they find, you come in and say, oh, well, you only picked up one of the fridges in the restaurant, not the other, and then that's my understanding of it. I think it's things that come throughout the year, because it's grand list based October 1 to September 30. So I think it's things like that. It's not much money. It's only $45,000. But that's
One
my
other
best shot at
question,
the X1.
just to clarify, so the collection rate was 99.36?
Correct.
So if we're going to project revenues for the future, we can say that we've got a pretty good collection rate on our revenues.
So the reason I brought up that tax sale, I think 99.2 is more realistic, right? 99.36 is with the, dare I say, the threat of selling your property if you don't come in and pay. So if you look year over year, you can see we ended the year with less outstanding, the ending balance kind of right in the middle there. Last year we ended with $586,000 of taxes outstanding at year end. This year we ended with $511. So while taxes went up $5 million, the collection rate, what the year-end balance left over went down nearly 20%, right? And I attribute that to the tax sale. If you had money that if you had taxes that were delinquent, right around April, you got a notice saying your property is subject to being sold, and they came in and paid. So I would not look at that 99.36 as a historical average. I would go more to that 99.2
Okay, all right,
as a
thank you.
historical average. Yep. So just keep that in mind too throughout the year as we start. It won't happen probably in the first half of the year, but that second half of the year, in fiscal year 27, you're going to notice the collection rate will probably be less, right, in the future year than last year, because last year was a blip because of that tax sale.
Okay,
So
thank you.
just something to note. Fund balance projection, I just put that on there so we can talk about it every month. We just got our the draft for the audit, so I will update those numbers and send that out. And then once the audit is finalized, we'll send out a fund balance projection with the 2024, 25, and estimated 26 balances. Getting into the 26 balances, the year, let's talk about 25 first, just so everyone is aware. 25, we had a budget of pretty much $91.5 million. On the revenue side, we collected $90.2 million. We expended $90.36 million. So in 2025, we had a use of fund balance of $1 million. We're going to use approximately $200,000 of that. Okay, so that was good. There was some extra revenues collected on building permits, interest income, things like that. In 2026, just make sure I give everyone the proper shout out here. In 2026, we had a few positive tailwinds for us. The private duty revenue, we budgeted 125, came in at 250. Interest income, the Fed kind of held the interest rates longer than we were anticipating. We budgeted about 1.25 million in interest income. We brought in 1.6. Let's see what else here. The tax collection was positive tailwind of about 175,000 due to that the tax sale. Conveyance fees in the town clerk's office were up. There was a few properties around town that were rather large and were sold. So that was a nice $200,000 tailwind, as well as building permits. So even with that sewer moratorium, building permits are still coming in hot and heavy. And so this year we collected north of $1 million in building permits. I think that was the first year we've ever done that. Let me think, there's a few other things.
So Kevin, you're painting kind of a rosy picture of revenues.
That was the revenue side. We can talk about the expenditure side.
Okay, but I mean, am I right in hearing you correctly that this is higher than you thought?
I think things really came around at the last quarter of the year for us. Building permits definitely picked up. Like I said, the feds have held the interest rate pretty steady for the last few months. That really helped us. And I think we over-collected on tuition as well.
Okay.
So we had a few good, I think there's some positive tailwinds.
On the cost side, you're going to yuck my yum.
No, not terrible. Nope. So originally last night, I know I sent you all the initial budget versus actuals. This morning we ran the final payroll, so that did shrink by a couple $100,000. But so I'm still expecting to return about $1 million to fund balance. So, and that's without having to use fund balance. So that was a really nice, $2 million swing. So instead of having to take $1 million out of fund balance, it looks like we may be able to replenish fund balance. Obviously, these are pre-audit, pre-closeout numbers, subject to change, but it is a rosier picture than it was a couple months ago.
And which report are you working off right now, Kevin?
That was it's the longer reports here.
This one that looks like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I emailed those last night to you guys, and I'll email an updated one with the new updated accruals. But just going through on the revenue side, expenditure side, building land use, our chief building official resigned through the year. The deputy stepped up in the place. We had a tough time filling that deputy spot. That was a positive savings of $40,000. The police have had numerous turnover in the police department, a lot of retirements. So it was a $175,000 positive swing. The fire service, even though overtime was kind of high, multiple firefighters out on military deployment, it really helped save the budget there a little bit. as well as highway. This is going to be an interesting one throughout the year. Right now, I think the highway is down 6 guys. It's quite a few guys that have a staff of about 23. They're down, that's why the transfer station was closed the other day. So it's, EB's really taking a lot of our employees over there. So we still were able to return approximately 50,000 in that line. And that's with all the storms, all the snowstorms. Overtime was blown sky high. There was still some savings there. So overall, on the revenue side, on the expenditure side, I'm sorry, there's a 96.6 was the budget. We spent about 95 so far, and there's 400,000 encumbered. So we'll clean that up, and next meeting we'll have a more finalized version. But right now, doesn't look like we're going to have to use fund balance, and we're going to be able to probably return some to fund balance. That was really good.
You
So
said-
Kevin,
Go ahead, Barry, please.
Which is on that column of surplus deficit, when I see this stuff in parentheses, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Are you looking at revenues or expenditures?
Under the surplus deficit column?
Yeah,
we
but
have
what's
things in parentheses?
the work paper though? That when you're looking at, is it the revenue or expenditure side? What's it say the top left?
This one.
Yep, they're basically
Town
the
of
same
East
thing.
Lyme, preliminary EOI budget versus actual reported revenues.
Okay, so the reason I bring that up is I pull this straight from our system. The revenue side's a normal credit balance, so negatives are good.
Negative
So
or
on
good?
that, negatives are good on that report. On the
Okay.
expense report, negatives are bad.
Right. When I
That's
heard
why I
you
wanted to
talking-
clarify.
Okay, when I was you're talking,
Yep.
it's like, I'm looking at that's the negative, but you're talking as a positive.
Yep.
So it is a positive.
Yep.
Got
So
it.
you know,
Okay,
it's-
thank
yeah,
you.
Yep.
Thank you.
You made an offhand remark I want to just ask you about. You said EB is taking a lot of our staff. And I assume that, they're paying well because they're electric boat and they can, and we're probably never going to be able to compete with that. So is this a chronic issue that we need to be worried about, that we're not going to be able to attract people to fill positions?
Yeah, I know Dan can talk about this, but this was definitely the kind of the focal point of the UPSU negotiations within the last year, was that, a CDL driver in town started, I think, at $23 an hour, and, US Foods was paying that same person $30 to start. So we definitely had a gap. COVID didn't help things, obviously, with the increase in inflation. That was direct, wages was a big part of that. So I don't know if you want to add more to that, Dan, but
Just, it's always been a problem, for municipalities. It's tough to compete with large businesses. You've always got that tension. And the fact that Electric Boat is, they're looking for a lot of people. That's exacerbated the situation. So what do you do when you're faced with that? We had 3 union negotiations. Certainly, some of the numbers reflected our attempt to make it more attractive, to retain, to stay here, and to attract new people. And then, but there's also, in addition to that, there's the culture of working in a municipality, working in a nice town. That has a value. And so we work hard to work on that value, work on the culture for working here, and I think that helps to retain people. So those are the things, those are the ways we counter big business trying to poach, a lot of people. Make it a nice place to work.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know much about these things, but that approach seems reasonable to me. I guess I would say, it's a nice place. I know it's a nice place, but maybe someone out there doesn't. Maybe if you haven't already thought about it, perhaps consider some type of a communication plan.
Good idea.
that's all I had.
Anything else?
And then just the financial statement update. We're looking to have finalized draft for next meeting,
For 2024.
2024.
Congratulations.
It's a big step.
Great news. All right. If there's no more reports, we'll move to new business. Appointment of auditors.
All right, you want to tackle this one, Dan? Sure, Kevin. Okay.
That was perfect imitation, by the way.
Sorry.
You've been practicing, right?
All right, so normally we would go out to bid, an RFP for audit services, but it's the recommendation of the Municipal Finance Advisory Committee at the state of Connecticut under the, was it Department of Office of Policy Management, I believe. Their recommendation is to stick with the same auditors until we are up to speed with our audits. So this is for the 2026 audit. We're looking for the Board of Finance to do a motion to approve Clifton Larson Allen as our auditors for fiscal year 2026. Our goal is we have to do the 25 audit and the 26 audit. By this time next year, we're hoping to have those two audits done and actually RFP for the 2027 audit. But just to give you a heads up, there's like 5 auditors in the state of Connecticut, so Clifton Larson Allen will be one of those 5 anyway. So,
All right,
but
so I thank you.
Yep.
I entertain a motion that we appoint Clifton Larson Allen LLP as our auditors for fiscal year 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so Barry made the motion, Lauren seconded. Is there discussion?
Are they triathletes or bike riders? This is a very interesting graphic
Yeah.
that they gave you.
we're going towards the light. That's all I took from this. I'm just hoping it's not a train.
I think what that means is that's what Kevin and I will be using for transportation if we don't get this budget, this audit done pretty soon.
And if we do get the audit done?
We're gonna get there.
It'll be a boat. We'll be on a boat.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of appointing Clifton Larson Allen as the auditors for fiscal year 2026 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next up, the budget projection project.
All right. I just wanted to put this on there so I could discuss it. Barry can add to it. So the plan is I've been working with Barry and hope to work with him for the next few months on putting together a projection for next year and the years after, subsequent years after, and kind of build a model that we can kind of budget what the town can afford. And then hopefully if we have this done before next budget year, we can tell departments, hey, this is what we've allocated for your department. You can apply for the world, but this is what we're saying the model says we can afford as a town. So it hopefully gives departments a better goal line, a benchmark, so to speak, on where the Board of Finance's thoughts are and what we can afford as a town.
Great, thanks. I really appreciate you guys doing that extra work to make these projections. And I know that now we have use of AI tools and lots of data to feed in, so I'm assuming that it will be helpful as we navigate that through different departments. Do you have a sense of timing of when this will be ready that we can have a discussion here at the board?
September, right, Barry? So Barry and I are hoping we're meeting every Monday. We schedule, I think, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, Barry, if that sounds right,
That's all right.
for the next 8
And
weeks.
happy hour too. I mean, you're having the
Don't tease me. We'll just move this down to the little brewery right down here in the corner.
that's a joke
Can we
for,
strike that from the minutes, please?
Okay.
take that out of the minutes. That's all right.
Well, after 5 o'clock, we'll go 5:05. But yeah, so our goal is to put this together. What I'm doing is modifying the 5-year plan I kind of compiled from last fall. I'm going to take that and we're going to modify it and we'll bring it to the board probably in August to show it off and take any feedback and then hopefully come back with a more polished product for the September meeting.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. I'm wondering, just to maybe increase our confidence in the accuracy of the projections, if you could apply them backwards
Okay.
and see how the model does with previous actual
Yeah,
numbers.
some of our initial work on that, I mean, I went back to 2019 to 2020.
1920?
I mean, 1920,
Dan
2019 to
wasn't even here.
2020.
Just starting his first semester.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Scott. So we've gone back 5 or 6 years on, accumulating this, so we can see the trends beginning in 2019, 20, when we have the records available.
Great. I appreciate you guys doing that. And then I guess my other thought is after we have this discussion, it may be valuable to have a public hearing, to have them give comments to us about that projections.
And I could post once Barry and I have a good draft, we could post it on the website for people to look at it if they have comments or, suggestions. I know during the budget process, there's a few people that reached out with some good feedback on my spreadsheets and reports to make changes. And they're very
was.
helpful.
Yes. Good.
If I may add, one of the things that really came through in this last budget was public engagement. And a lot of times people are misinformed as to how things work. And that really creates a problem for us when you're trying to get a budget approved. I think the more of these types of things that we can do, be proactive in getting the public involved. If I get an email or I get a phone call, invite people to be involved in some way. And certainly having a meeting, as you've described, can only serve us well and help us as we move through. That's what people want. We give it to them, that's going to help.
Agreed. Thanks. Any other questions or comments on the projection project?
Very good idea.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Short-term investment policy.
All right. I just wanted this in front of the board so they saw it before we went to approve it for next month. I'm working with the treasurer, Bob Curry, and our deputy treasurer, Denise Hall, as well as Mitch Nixon in my office, to put together a short-term investment policy to give us some guidelines and parameters on how to invest the town's fund, leftover cash reserves, right, every day, essentially. So this is our first bite at the apple. My ask would be for you guys to review this. If you have any questions, let me know. I am going to be submitting this to town council to review as well simultaneously. That way, for our August meeting, we'll have a finished, polished product to vote on.
Okay.
Will they be able to give us a kind of a projection in terms of like what they might consider to be a ballpark return on our investments?
So that would, I really don't know how to answer that, Barry, because it all depends on what we invest in, right? Because, right now,
So
most of
eventually,
the,
will they be able to kind of give us a,
yeah, we can tell you what the investing products that we currently are in. The majority of it's in STIF, the state short-term investment fund, the state of Connecticut. And then at Chelsea Groton, we have money in an ICS product, which is a insured cash sweep product. So 100% of our funds at Chelsea are FDIC covered. Even though they're over the $250,000 limit, they sweep anything more than the $250,000 to other banks to make sure we're fully collateralized, I think is the word.
all right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Scott, one. Barry, if you have any questions if you just shoot me a quick email, I'll forward that to Bob and Denise and
Okay.
and our bankers, and we can
Okay.
get any question answered you have. Thank you, Scott.
Okay. Public discussion. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Seeing none. Board comments. Anybody?
I was just following up what Kevin was talking about, Dan was talking about in terms of, if we're going to do this budget projection project, should we basically make this an item of new business at August and September, or just to keep it on the agenda so that, people know that we're talking about this and doesn't hit them out of blind? So is there a way do we have to say anything to keep this item on our agenda going through July? What month are we in? We're in July. Or August and September meetings, do we have to put it on the agenda for that, or?
It's no longer new business.
Listed old
It has to be
business.
old business, but yes.
So it'll stay on the agenda?
If Kevin and I remember to put it on the agenda, then yes, it'll be on the
Okay,
agenda.
all right. So what Dan was saying, so when September comes around and we do the presentation, people will say, where does it come from? And say, well, it was on our agenda, July, August, and now September. Okay, good.
If people see it, it'll be more public awareness of it.
Okay,
That can't hurt, right?
good suggestion, Dan.
Any other board comments?
I try to contribute.
All right, I entertain a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.